Valley Talk Business, Arts, and Events, and I have the pleasure today of interviewing probably one of the most renowned jazz pianists here in the Valley, Rick Helzer. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Well, thank you very much.
I
appreciate
am
it.
so glad you're here. I mean, knowing that you've trained Jeff Etmachin, who is a very well-known composer and pianist in his own right, and that you were his teacher, says mountains right there.
It was a long time ago.
It was, but look at where he is now.
Yeah,
So
I know.
anyway, but yes, so you have stayed in the line of jazz performing, and you are doing a concert coming up this next Tuesday, the 20th, at the Fresno Library over on Champaign and Perrin, and I think that the viewers would love to know more about it. Why don't you tell them a little bit about what's happening?
All right, thank you both. Yes, it's being sponsored by JazzFresno, and the series is called Jazz at the Library, and it's a concert series that runs September through November, and then January through June every year. And we have a variety of artists, and I've done a number of them over the years. And this particular artist, Ralph Towner, he's not as well known as, say, someone like Thelonious Monk or Duke Ellington, but I've always considered him to be one of the major composers. And a lot of the shows that I've done in the past, I've featured the music of significant jazz composers. Keith Jarrett, Kenny Wheeler, Thelonious Monk, Richie Byrack, Carla Bley, a number of them. And then we also do shows where we bring in musicians, other musicians from out of town.
Oh, great.
So it's a wide variety, and then sometimes it's lectures, lecture dems. So it's really diverse in terms of what we do with the programming. And I want to get in. I want to thank Joe Lozama and Bill Reeve. They are the president and vice president, respectively, of JazzFresno, and they're the ones that work the hardest to kind of keep the music going. And there's a number of other things happening. We have the Tower Preservation District Association is sponsoring monthly jazz concerts over at Vibes, just down the street. And there's just all kinds of different events that are happening. We have jazz events occasionally at the Harmony House, Gina Linnaeus venue. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And then, of course, the colleges. I mean,
Sure.
Richard Giddens, who's the director of the program at Fresno State, and Paul Lucchese, and they're producing great musicians. And then we have a jam session that we do twice a month too at
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, over at, it's called Tap and Cellar.
Oh, no, I know where that is.
Well, you have to come next
Yes.
Sunday. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of things going on, but I really wanted to particularly talk about this particular performance because I brought the idea up to Mike Dana about 4 months ago, and his response was an immediate yes, because Ralph Towner is a hero of his, like he's a hero of mine, and he's an incredibly gifted composer. And as far as jazz guitar goes, one of the things that makes him unique is the fact that throughout his entire career, he's never picked up an electric guitar. He's always played acoustic guitar, and he's also very masterful at the 12-string guitar, which is from what Mike tells me, he's going to bring his 12-string guitar and talk a little bit about it.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I've observed that once in a live concert, and
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Tell me about it.
Just trying to wrap my head all around that one.
Yeah, Mike was going to try to he's probably going to just demonstrate a little bit, but he says it's just getting, with the double strings, getting the articulation correctly. It's like, it's a whole nother instrument.
Right.
So.
And you know, I want to delve a little bit into jazz history. When you said the name Thelonious Monk, I remember
yeah.
taking music appreciation class at Fresno
Yeah.
State.
Oh yeah.
Go Dogs. And I remember that name coming up, and it's like he is jazz history.
Oh, he's a big
you know,
part of it,
as well
yeah.
as some of the other artists that you've mentioned as well.
Yeah.
And to a degree, you know, jazz has been around for so many years, yet I think it goes through some peaks and valleys, and
Oh,
you know,
always has.
right. And it's important to keep the jazz alive because It is a part of our history, and it has had a great deal of influence even with artists of other genres. And
Definitely,
so, I
definitely.
mean, when you take a look at where jazz started, where it is now, it's really, I think, has come a long way.
Oh, yeah, and it's an evolving art form. It never, I mean, if you go back and listen to the jazz of the 1920s, and then listen to the jazz of the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and currently, it's always moving in a variety of different directions. The reason why it's so important to me is that this is America's music. This is one of our most valuable cultural contributions, and the circumstances about this music coming about are very tragic because of slavery.
Right.
But when the slaves were brought over, the black slaves, from all these different countries, they infused their musical traditions with our American and classical music traditions. And it could have only happened here, you know. And so many of the great artists are obviously, and the innovative artists are black.
Right.
Duke Ellington, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, just to name three that I can think of off the top of my
Sure.
head. But there's a whole universe now. The music is no longer just here. It's all over the world, and it's infused itself and blended itself with all kinds of different musics from different cultures. South America, Africa, Mid-Eastern countries, Asian countries. It's now an international music, and a lot of jazz musicians nowadays don't even call it jazz. I mean, because it's so transcended its roots. But that's what makes it so beautiful, and that's why I'm so passionate about it.
So it's just basically morphed in so many different ways, and
Exactly.
it's not just morphed here in the United States, but globally,
Yeah,
which I think
exactly.
says mountains about the music in and of itself. Let's talk a little bit about that evening. What time does it start? Is there a cost to get in?
Oh, it's really pricey.
Is
It's
it
free.
free?
It's free. The downbeat is at 6:30, and the show usually goes from like 6:30 to 8, and we're our presentation is going to be largely a concert, but we are also going to be doing a little talking along the way about Ralph and about his music, and about how he affected us. And one other thing I'd say about Ralph Towner too is that he's known in most all jazz circles as a guitarist, but he's also a great jazz pianist, and he's done a lot of recording as a jazz pianist. And Ralph had, when I first became aware of Ralph Towner was way back in 1969. He was playing in a group called the Paul Winter Consort, and it was kind of more of a new age, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers about New
Sure.
Age. But anyway, but the guys in that band included Ralph Towner, and the bass player was Glenn Moore. Colin Walcott was the very unusual percussionist. He didn't play a drum set. He played tabla drums and hand drums and cymbals. And then, of course, I would forget the woodwind player's name. That's one of the blessings of being old.
Well, we know he's probably very well known.
Yeah, Paul McCandless.
See, that's all I needed to say. Is very well known, and you got it, Paul McCandless. Okay.
So that's where we first saw him. Well, they were playing with the Paul Winter Consort, and they were on tour, and they did some recordings, but they were really jazz musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul's group was not really about. They did some improvising. I mean, it was a great group and wonderful music, but it was his band, so it's his way or the highway.
Right.
So they took the highway, and he didn't fire them. They left because they wanted to play more of what they wanted to play, and that was the origin of a band that they had called Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
which is still touring and recording as we speak. And Ralph is 84.
My goodness.
Yeah. Jazz musicians. One thing I can say about jazz musicians is that we don't retire.
Well, music is something that I think for, obviously all ages, and it's with us when we enter the earth and when we leave.
Yeah.
And it will be here forever.
Yeah.
And, I think from the musicians I have known along the years, it's a lifelong. It's something that you have embedded in you forever. And it's a love and it's a passion. I see it becomes a part of them in their life and lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is really wonderful that I will use the word infusing our valley with this, not having not only just the knowledge about jazz, but actually being able to hear these people, these icons perform, which is wonderful.
Yes,
If
yeah.
people want to learn more about jazz in the valley, is there a website or something they can look to get information?
Well, I mean, JazzFresno has a website, and they have a lot of different activities beyond the library. In fact, the library series. What they're sponsoring now, they actually got some of the what do you call it? Grant money
Yes.
that we're using now, and they are sponsoring a Latin jazz band that performs periodically, and they also are trying to. There used to be a jazz camp called Milestones, and the pandemic kind of put an end to that, and kind of the head guy, Jim Page, he passed away, unfortunately, so that's kind of gone away, but they're actually in the process of moving forward to get that restarted. And Bill Reeve, the vice president, is becoming a really good grant writer.
Oh, good.
And that's what we
those
need.
grants help. And
That's what we
and
need.
people making contributions. If
Yes.
people do come out, can they make a donation?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so folks, all right, this is free, but that doesn't mean that you can't make a contribution, because we really want to keep jazz alive. It's an
We do.
important part of our culture, our history, our livelihood, and it's great that we have the opportunity to be enriched this way. Once again, it is Jazz Fresno at the library, and that is Tuesday, May 20th. This is a library that's located out on Champlain and Perrin. And again, the concert starts at 6:30, correct?
Correct.
And I know that this will be a wonderful and lovely evening. How long will this go on, this concert?
Just an hour and a half.
Okay,
An hour and a
so
half.
carve out the time, make the time to do this, and you know what, bring the kids, because,
definitely.
Again, you never know where the love of music starts and what might, just ignite that
Exactly.
spark.
One last thing, if I could just get
Sure.
in really quickly. I also want to make a plug for our jazz jam session at Tap and Cellar, which is also sponsored by not only the venue but Jazz Fresno, and it's on Sundays. It's going to be next Sunday. It's always at 2 to 5 every other Sunday, and it's open up. We open it up. We have the house band is my trio, and we have all kinds of musicians. We have high school, college, some of our older friends, and it's just, we really celebrate the music. And it's a really, I mean, we've been there for over a year and a half.
Now, the Tap and Cellar is out in northwest Fresno area, correct?
Yes, it's on Bedford, it's kind of behind.
It's behind, the Lowe's, I believe?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so if you take the 41 folks and you just head north and you exit off at Herndon, and if you can find where Lowe's is, it's on one of those little backside streets. You may have to Google it in, but it's called Tap and Cellar. It's a charming little place. It's great to chill out and relax and listen to some jazz music.
Exactly, thank you.
Well, Rick, it has been a pleasure having
thank
you
you.
on the show.
Thank
I
you.
hope that Tuesday night is a great success for you. This is Hope Roski with Central Valley Talk Business, Arts, and Events.